You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Selling. It is probably the thing that most of us have the biggest amount of resistance to in our business. And yet it's also the most critical thing that we all get better at if we want our businesses to survive and grow and thrive. So why do we have this natural sort of aversion to selling, and how can we overcome it? Well, that's what today's episode is all about, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. If you achieve nothing else this week, then it would be an absolute success to have started on the journey of changing your mindset towards selling and overcoming that resistance barrier that we all have against selling, so that you can step into a place where you feel calm and confident and you can sell easily without resistance. And that is what's needed for a business that's going to grow and continue to grow. So I'm so excited to bring on the podcast today my very special guest, Leah Mason-Virgin. She is a mindset coach for Christian women in business and has had a great career before she started coaching, and we've got plenty of things to share with you today in this interview, but she's going to dive right into the practicalities around our mindset towards selling and where does this resistance really come from. It's a fascinating interview. I invite you to stick with us and let's get through this together. And by the end, I hope that you've started to heal some of your own resistance to selling so that you can really progress forwards in your business today. Without further ado, let me play this interview for you. Okay, so I'm here with Leah Mason-Virgin today, and we're going to be talking all about the fear of rejection, which I'm really excited to get into this topic because I think it's something pretty much every person would experience, and it can be a massive barrier when you're in your own business and suddenly you're not just doing what you do, but you also have to be good at selling and marketing. And this fear of rejection, I think, is one of the biggest barriers that's probably holding back a lot of people from achieving the results that they would like to achieve. So welcome, Leah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jessica, so much for having me here. I'm so delighted to share time with you to talk about this topic. I am very passionate about helping women to overcome their fears when it comes to social selling and, visibility in the online space, marketing themselves and, building their, God-inspired dreams and goals. It is so important that we understand that rejection is common, normal, how it happens, and how we can overcome it. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, amazing. It is so important. And I think it's all this, it really ties into a bit of resilience as well, doesn't it? Rejection or being able to overcome that fear of rejection is a part of building some resilience. So why don't you start off with telling us a bit about your business and who you serve, and then we can dive right into this juicy topic we have today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I am a Christian business and life coach. So I serve Christian women to build their God-inspired dreams and goals. So whether that's something just in life or as entrepreneurs, I really have a passion to help women to know how to build their dreams and goals, to know what social selling is, most especially. I have a huge passion for helping women to understand that sales is serving. Sales is helping other people to make a choice that serves them best, right? So let me just repeat that. Sales is serving. Sales is helping the other person to make the decision that is best for them, right? And so, we're not into bro marketing. We're not into pushing. I want only clients that are fully aligned with me, right? So that really does that one tiny piece right there of only wanting clients that are fully aligned with us also helps us to overcome fears of rejection too.
That is incredible. We've just been having this exact same conversation in my coaching group with my clients. Because I hear things like, I feel like I'm too salesy. I'm pushing people, convincing them. I'm like, this is not about convincing someone to buy something that they don't want. This is about helping someone who does want what you've got and who is the right fit for it. Help them to make a decision, like giving them the information that they need to be able to make the decision. And sometimes there may be some questions that they have in their head. So selling it's not about conjuring something in their minds or, changing them or making them think or, buy into something that they don't need or don't want. It's not about that, because they're not the people you're trying to attract. Or like you said, we want people who are aligned. You're actually just trying to help someone who does need what you have to offer. And so selling, I think it just gets this really bad rap, especially I think in our online community with women, in particular, women entrepreneurs. We've got a real fear of selling. And one of the funny things I said to my clients this week, and I think it kind of hit that light bulb for them, I said, if you're worried about being salesy, it means that you're not salesy, because a salesy person is not worried about being salesy. They just are, and they're happy and they love doing it, right? So the minute that you're worried about being salesy, it means that you're not. So you can just breathe. Let's take a deep breath and just breathe and think, it's okay. I'm not salesy. I'm just giving someone the information, and I'm trying to think of what is it that they need to know about this so that they can make a decision. And that's what you're doing. Like you say, you're serving. You're really just helping them. And hey, no pressure. If they don't want to buy, they don't have to. Whatever. It doesn't matter, does it? We just got to let go of that. And I think that's where it comes into this rejection. So what if they say no? Why are we so worried about that?
Well, here's I actually did a deep dive last year and created a book and a course on this, because I fought this battle of trying to understand, why didn't I want to have sales conversations? What was holding me back from inviting people to consider working with me? And, I started to do some research, and, it's fascinating because, and here's the thing, Jessica, that I'm based in the States. So I can really only speak to the States, but I also believe this is very prevalent in first world countries with women. Women here in the United States, from the time that we're in elementary school, we are taught to be the good girl, to be quiet, to sit over there and not make trouble, to be hyper aware of other people's feelings and emotions. And ladies, you really need to understand this, that the majority of women, believe it's, I've forgotten the statistic at this time, but I think it's 8 out of 10 women have been abused or assaulted in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So women become very hyper aware of emotions and of conflict at a very, very early age. And we become very hyper empathic to conflict and to stress hormones, stress, voice, anything that would put us in danger. We become hyper aware of that, and we become hyper aware of insulating ourselves from any sort of form of assault, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, or anything like that, right? And so when I read this book, and it's called Playing Big by Tara Moore. And I don't agree with everything that she wrote. It's actually a very, very fascinating book. But it was definitely one of the pivotal pieces that I used when I started really looking into this. It is this idea that, that we are so inundated psychologically and culturally to not upset other people. And then we receive further messages along our life about we become worthy only if we make other people happy, right? Women especially, right?
Yeah.
We have to, make the teacher happy, and how to make the teacher happy. We figure it out by this good grade, doing this XYZ, right? And then we are inundated with these other cultural mindsets about sales. Sales makes us uncomfortable because typically men are in sales, and men tend to have a very masculine, very assertive, aggressive energy, which doesn't align with women.
Yes.
Right. And, and here's the sad part, women couldn't actually get a credit card until the 80s. And if you think about that, I'm 44. So I was born in 77. And so that means that my mother, by the time I was a child, she couldn't even get a credit card without my biological father signing for it. So we carry a lot of these cultural subconscious mindsets, and we carry a lot of things from our childhood. Like for me, this idea of worthiness, of abandonment, like my biological father walked out when I believe I was like 7-ish. And he didn't even turn back and look at me. Now I'm sharing this very real and raw because I want you guys to understand, like I had to do the inner work to get to the point where I could have sales conversation, where I could invite people to consider working with me without hesitation, without having this, massive emotional, internal battle. And it was all coming from a place of I wanted to protect myself, and I wanted to ensure that the other person knew that I was valuable, that I really wanted to care for them and really serve them. But yet I couldn't control. Here's the thing, ladies, you hear that word right there? I couldn't control the outcome of the message that I sent.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes us hesitate. As women entrepreneurs, it makes us hesitate to go into the DMs. And I'm not talking about, hey girl messages, ladies, listen to me. And that's another reason why we don't like sales. But we're not doing hey girl messages. We're doing, we're really looking to start a conversation and start a relationship with people, whether or not they buy from us. I'm always going to serve them. Right. Always going to serve them. So, learning that I couldn't control the outcome, that I was still safe, that I didn't need to manipulate how they viewed me. Like there were lots and lots of steps. And while I can't go into, there's no time for all the things that really go into this. If you ladies are really struggling, it's something that you need to unpack with your coach or with Jessica or myself, because you will not be able to grow a 6, 7, or 8-figure business unless you can truly align yourself with sales and sales conversations that work for you. So it's just a pivotal thing that we need to know. We need to know that, rejection. I like this. Kelly Roach the other day, she's an 8-figure entrepreneur. If you guys know her, and she said, if you are not being rejected every day, ladies, in some way, shape, or form, then you're not going all out to build your business.
Yes.
And that's just, that is just absolutely true. If you want a 6, 7, and 8-figure business, then that's just part and parcel of, understanding that it's okay for somebody to say no. No means on to the next person, says Jeb Blunt, who writes a very good book, Virtual Selling, if you've ever.
And no doesn't actually always mean no. Like this is one of the things I say to people. It's like, it might just be not right now. Like, and also
sometimes when they're saying not right now, it might actually be like, well, hang on, let's not just take that at face value. So they're saying, I'm not ready. Why do they think they're not ready? Have you really answered all the questions that they've got in their mind about whether this is right for them now or not? Because if they've got that one question, that little seed of doubt, they're going to say no, meaning maybe I'm not ready, or I don't think this is of value to me. I don't know if it's relevant to me. I don't know if this is possible for me. Like really, no, actually is probably one of these beliefs that's underneath that. And I think it's, let's just not jump straight in and go, oh, okay, they said no, that's it, bang, conversation over. No, let's give it a bit of space. Say, okay, yes, I hear that you're saying no. And, again, we're not trying to convince someone to do something that they're not ready for. What is it that you're feeling? Like, let's see if we can understand what the no really means, especially if you think that they are your ideal customer and they are in the right place and that they are the right person, the right stage, everything is good and it should be a no-brainer for them. If they're saying no, that means that we haven't answered a question. They've got a little seed of doubt in there, and it may be doubt in themselves. They might just not be recognizing themselves in what it is that we're saying about the program. And they may just, really have that fear, like maybe this, I can see it might work for other people, but will it really work for me?
Yeah, that's
and
a key
I think we
one,
always
Jessica.
have that question there in mind. It's so important. I think as well, when you were talking a moment ago, I was thinking, this fear of rejection, what happens? So it manifests in so many ways that's really unhelpful for our business and actually prevents us from asking for the sale, but then it also prevents us making the sale. So we don't know, or as well as not following up on the no, as in, why is that? Let's have a chat about it. What's holding you back? We also don't follow up on a no answer. So people tend to think silence means no. Oh, I sent a proposal and I heard nothing back. I was like, and have you followed up with that? Right. Oh, no, because I didn't hear back from them. I'm like, well, okay, do you know that they received the email? Do you know that they opened it? Do you know whether something else is going on in their business or life this week that may have just derailed them? If you haven't got any feedback at all, that is absolutely not a no. That just means you haven't followed up. And the number of times that I've done, the fortunes in the follow-up. I know this is a cliche that we say, but it is so true, because often they might not have responded because they have a question. And even though you've said to them, please let me know if you have any questions, they've thought of the question after they've read that. And you're not then telling them again, hey, do you have any questions? Like, there is nothing wrong with following up. That's not being salesy. That's actually inviting them to open that conversation back up with you and just be like, yes, I do actually have a question. Or I do have something I'm not sure about now that I've had a look at the information. I've had time to sit with it. They likely have got a question that's not answered. And if you're not following up, then, you're just not giving them the opportunity to ask that question. It may be the only thing that's stopping them. And so, again, that's the fear of them saying no is why we're not following up, right? Because you're like, oh, I think that means no. I don't want to follow up and really get a hard no. But what's that actually? What do we taking that to mean? Like, what are we thinking that a no means? It's like, it doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do. It doesn't mean that you're not valuable, that what you do isn't of quality. Someone may have a valid reason for saying no, or not right now.
And we often forget that the majority, that everyone is selfish. I'm going to lovingly say this to you, ladies. You're not shocked by this, but I'm selfish. I am a selfish human being. My family matters. So for me, as I said, I'm a Christian business coach. So the first thing is God, family, me, my business, and everything else. And I acknowledge that, yes, I am called as a Christian to think more about others, but as a human, guess who I think about more than I think about anyone else on this planet? Myself. I am a selfish human being. I acknowledge that. And so when we receive a no or a not right now, or, thanks for reaching out, but I'm not interested, or just period ghosted, it really has nothing to do with us. But because we're selfish human beings, here's the dichotomy here, right? Because we're so selfish, we think it has to do with us. And it doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with us. It has everything to do with that other human being, whether they're on their healing journey, whether they are interested right now, whether they're even in their buying cycle, or whether or not you've done enough touch points. Because circling back to what you said, which I think is so true, is we assume that this person has gotten the information, that they know everything about us. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The majority of the time they don't know. I mean, I'm shocked. I have been in the online space for 3 years, and I still every now and again get friends and family that are like, what is this thing you do? I don't really understand. And I'm like, I literally post every day. Like my everything is optimized. My page is optimized. How can you not know what I do? Right. But they don't even know. Like I have clients that are like, oh my God, you were a nurse. I'm like, yep, technically still have my RN, been there for like a decade, right? There's so much that people don't know about us. And so we have to, the touch points used to be between 12 and 16 touch points. And the touch points are now 18 to 20 touch points. So ladies, if you are in your journey and you're a new entrepreneur, if you don't know what that means that they need to have had some amount of contact with you and you with them 18 to 20 times before they're at a place where they know, like, and trust you enough to even consider coming into your offering services product.
Yes. And that's actually before we're in the sales journey. And I think that's so important because a sales journey itself, once you start making the offer, a sale can take 5 to 12 touch points. And that's when you're at that point of making a sale. So, this is what we're saying. You don't just put it there once and say, okay, I sent the proposal, it's done. No, maybe you've had 2. If you've had a call and then send a proposal, that's 2 touch points. You've got a way to go before that whole conversation is over. And, that is so interesting about 18 to 20, because I see all the time, and this is very common, I think, when people haven't had any kind of marketing experience before, but they think, I've put a post up, that means I've done it. I've put it out there and people will see it. It's like, okay, people aren't seeing it. If they are seeing it, the information is going straight past them, over their head. They might have a momentary moment of taking attention and paying attention and understanding it, but they're not connecting any dots just yet. And you're brand new. So they need to see it again and again. And probably by the 5th to 7th time, they might be starting to retain a bit of information. And we learn this in marketing psychology. So for me, it's just like, it's second nature. You just got to talk about it. I feel like I'm talking about it all the time and I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but no one else is hearing all of the times. They're getting one every 3 or 4, they're not seeing all of my posts. They're not seeing it all the time. That means I've got to actually do so much more than even what you think, because a person's not seeing every single post either. And they need multiple times to hear it before they're really getting it. And so people go, oh, that's not working. I've put up a post once or twice. That's it. I've got to change and try something else now. It's like, okay, let's relax and breathe, because just because no one's taken action on that first one that you did, that doesn't mean that it's not right. It doesn't mean that the message isn't good. That just means that it's new and someone's seeing that for the first time. They probably need a lot more touch points before they're even ready to get to that next stage. And that's well before we're actually making a sale to them. So that's the other thing, right, with marketing. It's like we don't go straight from like, hi, nice to meet you. Do you want to buy this? We're not door-to-door salespeople. This isn't like post number 1, let's make a sale. Like, no, that's not how it works in the real world. It could happen every now and then. And, even I have anomalies where I'm just going to throw up an ad to a cold audience for my program and boom, someone bought it. But that is not normal. I was like, that's a very strange thing to occur, and it would not be what I would even be telling anyone that you should do as a cold audience. You need to warm them up before you're even showing them the program. It can happen, but it's very unusual. It just means that I must have answered all of their questions in the post and in the sales page.
And you were aligned in their buying cycle. So their mental psychology of where they were, right? They had already started doing the steps to get themselves to even consider doing coming into a program, right? They had already started the process of saying, this is something that I need. We also have to understand, right? A lot of times we're actually educating people on what we do and why they even need it. Right?
Yes.
They don't even realize they have that pain point, and we're showing it to them. We're exposing it to them. We're telling them how we can solve their problem. And so that's a journey. We have to be willing to link arms with people and go on a journey. And that's why I believe so much that you have to have, really good lead generation, procedures in place so that when you are hearing no, not right now, that's okay. You're not devastated that I need this client so badly, right? That you've got this energy of like, no, don't reject me. Don't say no, right? You really have to be in a space and an energy of saying, I'm here for you when you're ready. I mean, I can quote one client. She literally stalked me, followed me. I didn't even know she was following. Like, she wasn't even commenting on any of my posts. She wasn't liking them. She wasn't anything. And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, after she and I had some coffee chats 6 months prior, I get this, hi, blah, blah, blah is scheduled for a discovery call with you tomorrow. And I was like, okay. I didn't even know what we were talking about. Had no idea. And she was like, yeah, I've been following you. I've been watching you, but I had never seen, and how often do we ladies, we think our messaging isn't getting out there, right? We give up too quickly. Like you said, so true, right? 90 days, ladies, 90 days for somebody to journey with you. Just put it in your heads, 90 days. So stick with it, stick with one messaging for at least 90 days. Do you teach that, Jessica? I don't even know. What's your strategy on that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I'm all about just making it simpler. The more clear your messaging is, you've got one thing, just the one, focus on the power of one. It's like, it's one thing that you're promoting. There's one message. I really say to people, we might have multiple offerings, but really in your business, you should have one that is your primary offering and other ones that are secondary, or they're the next step on from that. So you have one that you're talking about probably 90% of the time. And every now and then you might have some other little offers, like I have one program, Business Jam is my main program. That is for people who, they want to get clients. They're not getting clients. So it's your marketing and business strategy. How do you put that together so that you do attract clients and can convert them? It's not about how many times you're posting on social media. It's actually way back about, actually, who do you say you are? How do you say you help people? Who is it that you're connecting with? What are you selling? All of the real strategy, because when you know that and you do your posts whenever it suits you to do them, you actually find that they connect. So you're not just wasting time on this treadmill. Anyway, so my program, Business Jam, is what I talk about. That's what I talk about 90% of the time. I share lots of stories of the client success. And then every now and then I'm like, I'm going to do a masterclass or a workshop, which I'm doing, one next week. So I'll put something up about that, but that's going to be up and down in the space of a couple of weeks and it's over. I'm not carrying on talking about all of these different offers because it gets confusing. You need to have a longer, keep talking about it, because someone will hear about it, they keep hearing about it, and it builds desire for the program. The more someone hears you talking about it, sharing stories, sharing success of the clients, even I just share, hey, this is what we're talking about today. We might be diving into what a marketing funnel looks like and how you're going to actually reach out to cold audiences and attract them. So I might share something about that on my stories, and that just is giving people little insights into what it is that we do in the program. So there's so many ways that you can talk about it without selling it. I'm not selling it because it's not open right now. I'm just talking about it, sharing what's going on. And so, like you say,
but you're linking arms. You're taking them on that journey. Exactly. To get to that point where then you can say, have you considered coming into one of my programs or coming into that key program, or, joining me on a masterclass? And, and because because we're taught, really have to get that idea of this is a long journey, right? It's relationship marketing, AKA social selling, right?
Yeah.
And that, if we have that understanding that this is a long journey, I'm going to build these relationships. I'm going to have these touch points. I'm going to build enough of, a lead generation document that when you have these discovery calls, you are in a place of absolute happy energy, calm, receiving, helping, hearing and listening, because you're not in desperation mode. Even if you have 0 clients, ladies, let me just say, I very much understand what it's like to be in a place of 0 clients, right? We've all been there because you have to. There's no, you don't start a business and be like, I magically have 100 clients, right? We have to be in a space of I'm happy to align and help you have a conversation with me. And then I'm happy to talk to you in a way to help you make the decision that works best for you. And then, that way we relieve all those stress hormones, which is a part of rejection, right? The stress hormone cascade is very, very real. They actually did a study. There's a scientific study that when people are rejected, even if the person comes back and says, hey, this was just for a study, we were joking, the neurological damage is still there. The cascade of hormones is still there. And they actually gave Tylenol, acetaminophen, or whatever you want to call it, to people. And it actually showed that it helped them. So when we understand that A, rejection does happen, B, we've set up our business in such a way that we have enough leads, that we are not desperate. We're not in a desperate energy. Even if we have 0 clients, we're still in an energy of abundance. So that's a whole nother thing. I'm sure Jessica talks about mindset. But we have to be in a space of okay with walking the long journey, right? And we have to acknowledge that this is a physical thing. It is a real thing. We also have to be in a space where we've started to do the inner work, mindset work. Oh my God, who knew how much mindset work when we what was that? I didn't even know what that was. Mindset work, I didn't even know what that was until 3 years ago when I came into the online space. But we have to do the inner work, the healing. We have to already have those empowered things in our lives, like journaling every morning, our affirmations, so that we can bounce back from perceived or real rejection, because we are visible in the online space. We are going to have people say things to us, whether they intended to be nasty or not, right?
That's so true. And I think that you mentioned a couple of things there that I'd like to touch on. One of them is the air of desperation. So people can feel it. They can feel the energy and the desperation there. And even if everything that you're saying the right things, if you're feeling that desperation, it does come across in what you do. And I think this is where people are like, yeah, I know that I don't want to come across as desperate, but right now I really need a client. And I think it's a really hard thing to self-manage out of. And that's why the other thing that you said about having a really healthy pipeline, where you're like, you know what, if this person says no, it doesn't matter, because if I do need to get another client on, I've got a list of people who I've been building a relationship with, and I can just put an offer out, an email out to them and say, hey, I've got a spot opening up. Is anybody, not is anybody interested, but you might say, this is ideal for whatever it is. I love to make it clear who it's for. This is great for you if this is what we can achieve in that time. If you're interested, get in touch. And I've done that before, literally just a single email out to my list, not even with a firm offer in it, just I've got 3 sessions or something light, and people come back and then you carry on the conversation from there. If you don't have that, it's much harder, I think, to avoid that air of desperation when you have got a lead in front of you and you don't know where the next one is coming from. And this is something that, really I focused in on when you were talking about that, because a lot of my clients and women, I work with women who are in services, they have started their business generally on a referrals kind of network. So they've gone, I'm going to start a business. They've told some people, they've referred work in, and they're sitting there happily taking work that's coming in from their referrals, but they've done nothing to build their own pipeline of leads, their own audience, and they really have nothing there. If those referral streams dry up, they've got no business. And the danger with referrals, two things really. Firstly, you're sitting there waiting for them to come to you, and therefore you think that you need to offer them what they need and that you need to win them when they come, because you don't know when the next one's coming. You've got no control over it. And what that means is that you tend to end up in this place where you're customizing what you do and changing and trying to morph to meet their needs. So putting together packages to meet what a person is asking. And that means that you're not dialing into your unique value. You're not in your space. You're not leading with your highest value, which means that, again, you're really not able to be charging your premium rates, because you're being like an employee. You're being like an outsourced employee, and you're creating a job for yourself where you're just serving what people are wanting. And that's a real danger when you're purely referral based. And this is one of the major things in Business Jam and even with my one-to-one coaching, but that I take clients from being reliant on referrals to being in a place where they have their own audience. They've got their email list, they've got pipeline, they've got real leads and prospects who may or may not be, they might have come in and not been ready to buy right now. Like, it wasn't a no, it's just not right now, but they're there and they're being nurtured. And they've also got past clients. They've created more ability to sell within their existing clientele, within their network, past clients, current clients, by having a service strategy that's kind of linking them together. So they're not just trying to sell something new each time and it's a whole separate sell. There's a clear pathway for their clients to take with them, which again just reduces this desperation and need, because you've got a next step for them. So you're increasing customer lifetime value by having an obvious next step for the clients to take, and they stay with you for longer and you earn more per client because you're continuing to serve them. So I think that that's so key in, when you have that, you can be so much more confident about rejection. You might be having a sales conversation and it may not be an instant yes. That's okay, because you think that's okay. They've now made contact with me. They're now in my list. I now nurture them. And it might have just been a not right now, or I'm not sure yet. I'm not ready yet. And so we can help them to feel ready and help them to feel sure about it.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that, we do have to modulate our energy, right? We do have to learn. And, as somebody who comes from a fairly conservative Christian background, it was very interesting to me getting into understanding energy, understanding that I was very empathic. I was created as a healer. God wanted me to be a healer. Obviously, I have a nursing background, over a decade in nursing, and I'm a coach. Shocker, I'm a healer. I feel people's pain, right? And so, so ladies who are listening, if you have 0 clients right now, if you haven't set up with Jessica your marketing funnel and your, lead documentation and things like that, first off, get on that. Okay. But let's take a little moment and talk about how to modulate your energy when you're in a place of wanting and needing. Okay. So I'm going to be #real and raw. Y'all don't know me well, but I always keep it #real and raw. And it is very normal to look at your business and your bank account and go, I need clients. Okay. But then you have to, and this is a have to, I hate having to should people, but this is a have to, you have to learn how to modulate your energy. You have to, you have to say to yourself, I choose, okay. Cause we choose our emotions. We choose our activity. If you're in a first world country, you have choice, period. End of discussion. If you're not, I get it. but I can only talk about first world countries here, ladies. So you have choices, right? So I get to say, I choose to have an energy that is welcoming and open to accepting whatever it is, whatever the answer is. I choose, right? So I sit there and I write it out and I speak it out. Because there are times in our business cycle, and I have a very, I have a very interesting journey in the online space, so we won't even go there. I told Jessica a little bit about it before we went live, but there was a time where I had to say, I choose that I will not have an air of desperation. I choose that I only want to be fully aligned with my clients. I choose that if a potential client says, no, I don't want to pay X amount of dollars for that program, that's okay. Yes. I absolutely will not. I don't do pro bono, period. I don't do it.
Yeah.
And that there's a whole psychology behind that. And ladies, I'm not trying to be harsh, but there is very much, I believe if you pay attention. And my decades of experience, I do not apologize for the investments that my programs are at. And so we have to be in that space of security in knowing that what we do and the outcomes that we get our clients, that we choose to have an energy of certainty, confidence, unshakable, right? I am unshaken by other people's opinions of me and my work. I literally have said that for over a year, right? I am unshaken by other people's opinions of me and my work, ladies. And my energy is welcoming and accepting of whatever the outcome is.
Yeah.
Right. And writing that out and speaking that out and switching into that field of energy, whether or not you have 0 clients right now.
Yes. And I think the more that we focus on the lack, the more that you manifest that lack.
Yes.
And so instead of focusing on the lack, you can focus on how much you feel motivated and inspired and happy to welcome someone in. So focusing on the welcoming in means that that's really what you're going to attract more of, as opposed to focusing on the lack that you have, which is making you tighten up and get all fearful and worried and concerned,
right?
When you don't need to be. And I think one of the other funny things that leads into this, fear of rejection, and it's really, sometimes it's tied into that fear of, self-worth. And like we had that chat before we went live today, we've both, I'm like 1 year younger than you. I'm 43, born in 78. We've both had a lot of life experience before we came into our coaching businesses. And I think a lot of people, we get to this point, we start a business and we're like, oh, I'm a newbie. I'm brand new in business. Hang on a minute. Like, you've got so much experience. So yes, you might be new at running your own business and selling what your expertise in this way. But, I had 20 years of doing marketing in the corporate world before I started my business. I've got all of that equity, all of that value that I'm bringing into this business. And instead of just working for one employer and making one board of directors happy, I'm able to help so many more businesses and so many more people and achieve what they want to achieve. And for me, it is a huge amount of increased potential coming into this business. It's super exciting. So instead of feeling like a newbie, I need to feel like, no, actually, I have got credibility. I have got value. I'm coming into this and like sit in that confidence in yourself. I know I can do this. I've started a brand from 0, grew it to $1 billion brand in 5 years, a startup firm. That I've done all of that. Yes, it's not my own business, and now I'm doing my own business and I'm doing it in my way, but that's got absolutely 0 reflection on my value and my ability to help others. And I think when we can separate the two and compartmentalize it, like you say, really sit there and think about the value and energy that you're bringing to what it is that you're doing. It's absolutely it does not mean anything that you're new in your business as it is right now. You're not new in what you're doing. You're not new in the value and the service that you're bringing to people. So, I think that that's something, it can be such a huge shift for people to really think about that and to be like, no, I don't have to feel like I'm starting at zero and that I'm starting from a blank sheet, because you're not. You're bringing so much into where you are right now.
Love it. So true. So true, ladies. Love it, Jessica. Love it.
Amazing. So fear of rejection, I think we've touched on quite a few things today. So there was the, obviously supporting yourself by having a lead funnel, whatever you want to call it, your audience, and a system to turn your audience into leads and prospects, so that you have got people there. If you ever needing to, you can generate money. And, I think that was one other thing that kind of popped into my head with all of that is it's okay to make an invitation, an offer to people, and making that offer and selling is not pushing them. It's actually inviting them to take that next step. They may not be ready right now. That's okay. But, making offers to people who are in your audience is not being salesy. It's not being pushy. It's actually just, that's what you're here to do. You're here to help them. And if you're not telling people how you can help them, then, you're avoiding being rejected, but you're actually avoiding your business being successful. So what do you really want? Do you want this business? What's your objective in doing it? Because pretty sure no one came into business thinking, I'm just going to sit here and wait for someone to realize that they need my help and to come along and ask me to help them. If you're sitting there waiting for that, then it's going to be a long, long, hard road. You do need to send out the invitation. It's like, hey, you're having a party. No one knows to come to it unless you invite them, right? You've got to do the same thing for your business.
Well, and that's why I didn't have clients in the beginning of my business building journey, because I didn't know that. I had no idea. I mean, I came into the online space and you see all these gurus that are like, just post and, build, these reels and all the things. And then you'll magically have clients. And you do have to actually learn how to make sales conversations, and have, ask people, have you considered working with me, and building the relationship, learning about your audience members, and, saying, I'm going to make up a scenario, but, if somebody likes your post, are you reaching out and saying, thank you for engaging on my post?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, ladies. It really doesn't. I mean, we often think that a sales conversation has to be this, elaborate, uncomfortable, but we don't. We can simply start by saying, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my community. How can I support you this October? That is not a complicated thing. And if we take away, because actually women are the most fantastic at sales, because we are empathetic, we are sympathetic, we are empathic, and we love relationship building, and sales is relationship building. And so if we come from a place of, I'd like to get to know you, then you are going to build a strong network, a strong business, and will be able to have daily sales, because you will have already built up a network of people that know, like, and trust you. Okay. So, I mean, literally, I remember I went on someone's IG who actually has hundreds of thousands of followers. And I got a message that was like, thank you so much for engaging on our post. Welcome to our community. I see that you are new. And I was like, how did you see I was new? This is fascinating. But most people don't do that. Now, this guru, this, very big coach, has social sellers behind her IG feed. So she's doing it the right way. She is literally reaching out to every single person that engages in her community. Ergo, she's going to have a multi-million-dollar company, right? Yeah. So we have to embrace that as women entrepreneurs. This isn't about, 5 reels and, a post. No, this is about conversations. It's about relationships. It's about saying, I see you. Everyone wants to be seen and heard. They want to feel like you care about them. And if they don't feel like you care about them, then they don't care about your programs.
Yeah, so true. It's like they're not coming to you thinking, oh my God, I want a program. They are thinking, I want to achieve this, or I want help with X. How you actually get there is after they've already decided that they want to work with you. And then it's like, okay, let's talk about the nuts and bolts. And it's like, when you're having, even if you're having a one-on-one discovery call, it's like, we do not need the answer to be yes. You might actually want to say no. And I, on purpose, make my discovery calls like a 15-minute time block, because I'm like, I might get someone booking one who is not my ideal client. And I need to make that assessment up front. Like, I'm also assessing them. I might want to say no to them. Just because I've got a service and I'm a business, that doesn't mean that I want every person to say yes, or that I even want to make the offer to every person. I might be like, you know what? I'm not the best person to help you, and I know someone who would be better suited, and I refer them on, because it's not good for them and not good for me if I'm trying to serve everybody. They're not the best fit. So
that's right. That's the energy and the mindset that we need to have. We need to be fully aligned, both to be able to help them. I mean, I've had people who, are product-based, businesses that come to me, and I'm like, I love you. And they're like friends. And I'm like, I love you. I can help you with mindset. You want to work on mindset, but I can't give you strategy for Etsy. I've never built a business on Etsy, and I refuse to be unaligned with you, in a business capacity, and so I can refer them to somebody who does, right? Yeah. So, having that mindset of abundance, there is no lack, ladies. There's like a billion people, and even if you niche down, I know sometimes people get all afraid to niche down, right? Even when I was coming into the Christian, sphere, that's my calling, is to serve Christian women. And I was like, is there enough of them? And somebody laughed at me. They're like, really, Leah? I was like, okay, all right, I'm sorry. But that was like the first thought out of my mind.
It's so funny. And like, just to touch on that, because this is one of the main things that I teach in my programs, is about niching. And people think niche means small. Niche does not mean small. It means getting specific. I think as women, we think about all the people we can help. Like, I do this service, and this person could do it, and that, and like there's a lot. You start brainstorming. There's a lot of different people who could use your service. That doesn't mean that they're all the best fit for you, or that you're the best fit for them, though. And it's like, it's okay to get specific and narrow your focus. It doesn't mean that there's less, because the other question that most people don't think of is, how many clients do you actually think you can help at any one point in time? Is it like 100,000? Is it 1 million? Like, can you actually serve 1 million? And they're like, usually, 10, 20, maybe it's even 100. Okay, well, how many people do you really think that you need in this audience to get your number of clients that you can physically, practically manage in your capacity? And it's like, guys, you don't need a lot of people. So you're thinking that there's this real lack, and you've got to go up and compete against people. And this is this other thing that I'm like, gosh, just drop the whole, I need to assess my competitors and see how I can go into battle against them. This is not the 90s. Everybody, drop the marketing textbooks from the 90s, like Philip Kotler. The world is not like that now. We've got the internet. You've got a huge potential array of people who could buy from you, and you've got the ability to serve so many more people through the online space. We don't need to go up against competitors, because there's more than enough to go around. You just need to stay in your lane, do what you do, and reach out and attract the ones you want to attract. It's funny, because people often ask me, like, who are your competitors? And I'm like, I don't really know, because I don't literally waste a single breath or bean of energy going and looking for them, trying to, see what they're doing and finding it out. I don't care what they're doing. They can do whatever they want to do. I'm not even sure who they are. And I'm just doing what I know is bringing value to the people who I know that I can serve best.
Love it.
And while I stay in that energy, it's I'm not comparing myself. I'm not criticizing myself. I'm not getting into this place where I'm starting to make myself feel small and fear rejection and think I need to be in this competitive environment, because you so do not need to be. There's, like you say, an abundance out there. There's more than enough to go around. And the best way to get the right amount of clients for you is to really understand your voice, your value, really become that voice of authority in your space about what you do best, not what you think someone else wants you to be, not what you think is a difference from what everyone else is doing. Who cares what they're doing? You can do the same thing as someone else, but you might do it in your way that connects better with your people. And you say it in your words. It honestly does not matter what other people are doing. Just forget about it. That would be something that if you take away some points about worrying about rejection, like the more you step into your own power, your own value, and really embody it, and just really know what it is that you can help people with, get passionate about it, talk about it, you will attract people. You don't have to worry about this rejection, because there's always going to be more. And you just keep showing up, turn up, you be consistent, and you show them that you're walking the talk. You're doing what you say. You're living in integrity, and you're doing the things that you say that you do as well.
I love it. That is perfect, Jessica. Perfectly said, my friend. Absolutely. Like I always tell people, think about it. You could build a 6-figure business in your own county or state or province or whatever it is that you call your town. And we often don't realize, if we think about it from that perspective, and then we extrapolate, well, I could. Well, and I'm on the internet. So my God, I could really build a business. There is no lack. There is no lack in the kingdom. There is no lack.
That's so good. So tell us a bit about, if someone would like to get some help from you, you've mentioned that you do a lot of mindset work with clients. So tell us about how they could find you, connect with you, and what that might look like.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Bursting with Blessings. My website is burstingwithblessings.com, and I work with Christian women. So whether if somebody is desiring to build a business in the online space, I have a group coaching program for Christian women entrepreneurs. And yes, I do all different type of coaching, health coaching, mindset coaching, spiritual growth. I have 9 different books on Amazon, but I serve Christian women. So if that doesn't align with you, that would not be for you, because I very much is my calling, is my passion, is to empower women to have a bold voice for God and for their God-inspired dreams, because very much God has been trying to magnify and uplift women, because we are creators. We are creators of life. We are creators of peace. We are creators of prosperity, very much so.
Amazing. That is just incredible. You've just done so much. 9 books. That's mind-blowing. Well done. And I'll be linking up all of those things that you've just mentioned in the show notes. So if you're listening, you'd like to check out Leah and go and learn a bit more about what she does and connect, then just jump into the show notes, and the links will be there as well. So thank you so much, Leah. It's been such a great conversation. I feel like we could talk for days. We probably could just keep on going. We've got a lot of, very similar perspectives, I think, on the whole world of business and marketing. And it's really refreshing. I love having chats like this. So thank you for sharing all of your lovely expertise and insights with my audience. We appreciate you.
So if you would like to improve the marketing of your business, then the first place we always start is with your ideal customer avatar. Now, my system for your ideal client is different to most. With my ultimate customer avatar worksheet, there are 35 questions to help you really deep dive into what your ideal client is currently thinking, feeling, and what their goals are, what they're doing in their buying behavior. Go to jessicaosborne.com/customer ultimate-avatar to download your free copy of my Ultimate Customer Avatar worksheet today. And let's get started on defining who that ideal client really is.